Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to I don't know what number this is episode because we're recording this in the past, ladies and gentlemen. We're dropping our goddamn, a Wake Up Dead Man Knives Out story spoilers review. I'm again the heretic Travis Snell. I'm joined by
I'm still the Scooby-Doo Taylor Field.
Yeah, so obviously a couple weeks ago, unless you watched it on YouTube, but a couple weeks ago we dropped our non-spoilers thoughts on Knives Out because we got to see it a little bit earlier before it was on Netflix for a bunch of people to see because as we talked about in that episode, not everybody gets to see it, not playing at all theaters, so we did just a smaller episode there, but this episode's all about that, so you can go back for our initial thoughts. I guess to give you a quick overall is I enjoyed it, I still like it, I like the world they create, I think it's a little less funny. I think it's not a little funny. I mean, I guess I should preference with I think it on purpose is not being as comedic, much like Glass Onion was on purpose being very more comedic. And as of right now, I'd have it ranked last. I think there's some issues with the characters. Not so much the characters, just the issues of lack of the characters, and I feel like we maybe made some of the how we got to the final kill took one too many twists and turns. But Taylor, give me a quick 30 seconds of what we just talked about in the past. What your thoughts, in case someone's just tuning in for the spoilers review, just your thoughts on Knives Out 3 here, even though I know it's not called that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's what it's lacking in character development. I think it makes up for in being similar to that first movie in regards to its aesthetic, its smaller scale, and the not excessive comedy. It just kind of has that nice perfect balance in my opinion of just having the comedic hits and also the serious moments too, and then also getting into a little bit, I don't want to say horror, but just being a little bit more fucking cat just scared the shit out of me. These fucking cats need to just chill, man.
You sound like Josh O'Connor in this movie.
Oh my god. But yeah, it does a good job at just being tense and like just very little horror, not actual horror, but yeah, it does a really good job at just kind of like adding more to the universe and has a lot of innocent humorous beats. It's one of the reasons I really like Blanc as a character in this one more than Glass Onion, because Glass Onion was just a little bit too much comedic in my opinion, but in this one it's nice because he's very cute and like adorable, if that makes sense. And so I really like and jive with how his mannerisms are and how he acts with certain things in these situations. So I think they do a great job at putting him in here. It would have been nice to have him a little bit more as like a focal point, as it being his story instead of the focus being in retroactively or other main character who's just kind of like recounting the situation, and then things catch up, and then it's like, okay, this is the narrative moving forward. So I would like it if they kind of kept Blanc a little bit more in there at the start, but it's okay. I mean, he comes in, god, it feels like when after, not even in like the first act, when we finally get him in there, and we miss a lot of potential time with him. But I get it, because the story needs to kind of establish itself a little bit before we explore that. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, well, that's where we can start too. Like, Kirkland's favorite place, start from the beginning. But I wanted to start there because obviously, even with Knives Out, I watched it and it starts with all the characters. We lose a character and all of them are explaining the story. And Benoit Blanc is just in the background, sitting, listening, right? Even Glass Onion, he's actually in there pretty quick, to be honest. But with this one, I'd have to clock it. I'm going to say 20 minutes. It could be a little less, but it feels, because you get some credits, everything. I feel like it's about 20 minutes until we get to Benoit Blanc, and maybe even longer. I could be wrong, but the opening of this movie is Josh O'Connor writing a story of how they got to this point, right? And it's not just, which I do appreciate, because that's the thing, right? When you're Rian Johnson and it's not like it's, okay, we're doing the Knives Out franchise and each one it's a new director, like a Star Wars, right? It's him doing all these. So he's probably trying to find, okay, how can I to do this differently? How can I start? How could I end it? How could I pace it? So I do applaud this idea of it's not just, oh, murder happens and then we get to it. It's okay, this character's going to sit down and literally talk about his life to get, not his whole life, but, you know, the last, I'd say, year or so, because I think they say he was on this island for 9 months, I think, at one point Josh Brolin said to him. So let's just, you know, wrap it up into a bow that he's explaining a whole year of his life to Benoit Blanc in a letter, which, again, because we're in spoilers now, you would think that, oh, he has this letter, he's sending it off, can I get your help? That letter isn't actually written till like further in the movie, like an hour and a half. Like it's doing the kind of Pulp Fiction thing where you see multiple things that happen at very different times. So you think, oh, that's a setup, and no, it's not. Because at first, when he's in the church and he's praying, and Daniel Craig walks up to him, I was like, okay, if you wrote a letter to Benoit Blanc, who they've established in these movies as somewhat famous, right? Not like uber famous, but like enough that people are like, oh, you solved this or you solved that, or like they said on this one, like, you've been on The View or you've been on Oprah, that type of stuff, right? So I was go, okay, he wrote him a letter and he sent it to him, but he has no idea who this guy is. I already was ready to ding it. I was like, what is this? Like, this is illogical. You would hire this guy and you don't even know what he looks like, but it's played later on. And that's the thing that I think comes in at a great moment, has like a great entrance. If he just makes some loud like yell or yawn or something, I don't know how he enters, but it's just great. And it's great right away too. They establish he doesn't even try to hear him out or play along. He just right away establishes, like, I'm not a man of cloth. I don't follow any Christian values. Like, I hate being here, but he's also not hateful, which is like pretty much how, when people want to, like I am hateful to people that push their religion on people in certain groups that are hate groups, yes, but for the concept of religion or faith, I'm very much like Benoit Blanc, where it's like, hey, you're not gonna, like, none of this is for me, you're not gonna convince me, but I'm happy you got it. So I like that kind of jovial, and even Josh O'Connor picks up on that okay, this guy, like, I'm gonna try and tell him why we do these things, but he's not really digging what I'm putting down. But yeah, the whole opening of this movie is explaining where he is, how he gets to this island. Even the time with Josh Brolin, it's not like, oh, he dies, we learn about after. We learn a lot about him before he even dies, right? So they play with it in quite a different way. And even in Glass Onion, they did that as well too. But that's what I was going to say, is in the previews, I wasn't sure if they showed him. I was happy to see Jeffrey Wright at the beginning. We talked about this in non-spoilers. There's a scene with Josh O'Connor because he punched a deacon because he was an asshole. And he's kind of telling these other priests or whatever the rankings are about, like, how can I kind of make good, right? And the idea is you're going to go to this island and help this community. This scene, that's where these windows that they're sitting by did not look real. I could be wrong, right? If they are real, then I take it back, and it just was shot in a weird way, but it didn't look right. But I didn't hear if they did announce Jeffrey Wright was in this. I completely missed it. I always like seeing Jeffrey Wright, but what I found was funny was they've done this last movie too. I don't think they have in Knives Out, but obviously Daniel Craig was in the Bond series because Jeffrey Wright was in those as well. He was Felix. And then Andrew Scott, the writer in this movie, like the novelist guy, he was Inspector. And then in the last movie, Batista was in that with Daniel Craig, Inspector. So he's bumping into these like other Bond actors that he shared time with, especially at the end when they were standing beside each other, Craig and Jeffrey Wright. I was like, oh my God. Because I was like, okay, Jeffrey Wright's in this movie, but he's not going to have any screen time with Daniel Craig. And then they have a scene together. I'm like, oh my God, you're putting the band back together. But yeah, what did you think about the opening, how we met Brolin, the church, everything is kind of the setup of far as, and I feel like this was way more like Knives Out as far as meeting the characters. I feel like last time you met them in a different way, kind of one by one, where this was a one by one meeting. I felt like Craig would get closer to characters or you get more reveals, where Knives Out felt like they got sat down because they were being interviewed and you're literally learning about everybody at the same time, where this kind of felt like that as well too, where O'Connor was telling us, but this time he was the one leading it. So
I mean, he was leading it, and it just was an active, like, you're trying to pick up the story beats and everything from Blanc's point of view, but it just feels like the whole time Blanc is just keeping our main character out of jail, out of being arrested. That's it. As he's just trying to keep him out. And like, you don't really get him interviewing or pushing all the other people, right? It's just like, that's another downside. It's like, oh, here's a video of just everything that happened, and he watches a video and you get to see everything going on with everyone talking and whatnot. And it's like, well, it was a comedic relief, but it takes away from our development with our characters. Well, it's
And
a trade-off.
well, it is, but even in that scene though, when he watches this video, it's really just Kerry Washington and Josh Brolin. All the rest of the characters, they have they say a few things, but they're pretty much just sitting there listening. So it is that trade-off where it is you're doing it a different way, but you do feel like you know these characters a lot less. You know, like I said, Kaylee Spaney, they set up this storyline that's one thing I'll say about Knives Out. Maybe I've never enjoyed them as much because of this. No, I won't say it, but as much as other people in Knives Out, I couldn't believe when people were like hailing the twist because it's like felt like it's Chris Evans, and I was right. And the second one, I was right about Edward Norton because I said this I think in the review and even watching it today. They do something and Edward Norton does this like really shocked face, and I think I said in the review like they should have done another take and tone, like ask him like, can you tone it down by 30%, because this face that he does just reveals, oh, this guy's a fucking killer. I'll say I got this half right. I thought it was going to be, we'll get there, was going to be Glenn Close and Kaylee Spaney. We'll get to the reveal after, but I thought Kaylee Spaney, because they dropped a few things of, you know, there's a money subplot in this, and they talk about this character is spending a bunch of money. They say she's practically funding the church because the idea is she used to be like a famous or very talented cellist, and she has some sort of disease or some sort of treatment that's happening with her body that her body's kind of breaking down on her, right? So her idea is she's, you know, the Josh Brolin's character is not promised, but pretty much promised, hey, you come to this church, you're with me, God's gonna heal you, right? And in this thing, she's dumping sorts of money. So I thought, okay. And at one point too, they say when they're interviewing Josh O'Connor, Mila Kunis like, oh yeah, you on this list, you're the only guy that hates Josh Brolin, so you're the number one suspect. But I thought, well, Kaylee Spaney's a clear like she's gonna hate him because he's taking all his money, right? But that really never went anywhere. Even then at the end when they think he's back and he's risen, she's just sitting in the chair like waiting. It just kind of felt odd. There's a couple other actors I understood, like Thomas Hayden Church. I understand why he's not in a bunch, but Kaylee Spaney, who's kind of becoming like a bigger star. But that's where it's like I feel like I don't know much about her character. You know, I don't know why she feels so sure this guy is going to heal her, or the praying to God's going to heal her, right? So that's where there's characters in that room that I feel like we do kind of miss out on some more, not even motivations, just getting to know them a bit better. So. I think Taylor's gone. Now we got our answer. Earlier, Taylor was like, "Oh,
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back in.
He's coming back." Taylor was asking me, "Oh, am I the problem?" He just looks very serious.
Coming back in.
But there you go. Oh my goodness, there you go. You're a little blocky, but you're back. But
I gotta get this. You know, it's funny because the Wi-Fi modem is like, it's literally only like 10 feet. It's an open space. I can see it with my eyes. It's like right, super close, but it's not good enough.
Yeah,
gonna have to. Yeah, I lost my hardwire because it went wireless now. Fucking internet. Anyways, what was the last note you said there? Because I was
so because you were talking about characters we didn't get to know as much because of Benoit Blanc not interviewing them, and I was using Kaylee Spaney's character as a thing because I would have liked to know what, because they didn't make her seem like a complete dumb character. So I would believe if you put this character who's very naive or ignorant or just kind of childish, you would believe, oh, she's been tricked into, hey, I can heal you. But they didn't play it off with her. She just felt like a normal person that had some money and had a disease. So that's where I felt she was a character that really suffered from not getting to know more or just not having enough writing around her.
Yeah, that's true. And I do feel too at the same time that she was definitely wronged because everyone was just calling her the what was her term again? Not the heretic, the hectic whore or something like that. Like everyone just hated her just because she just got pregnant, right? So it all seems to start with this father.
That was Josh Brolin's. That's not who Kaylee. That was Josh
Brolin's mom.
Yeah, that's not who Kaylee Spaney played. Who I was talking about, or are you just talking about the mom separately?
Oh, I thought she played the mom. Who?
No, okay, Kaylee Spaney, the girl from Alien Romulus, was the girl in the wheelchair with the praying and like trying to get better.
That was the same one? Oh, yeah, I thought she was the mom.
No. And that I could understand because that's like, oh, this is a fun, quick cameo. Because, yeah, they said we'll talk about Josh Brolin's mom and she's like this crazy character at first, right? But no, that's what I mean. Like Alien Romulus, like, and you haven't seen her other stuff, but, or even Civil War, right? We just saw her like last year in Civil War and she's great. So that's what it's like. I just felt like when she was cast, I was like, oh, I bet she's going to be one of the killers because you're getting this great up-and-coming actress, and we'll get to who the killers are, but she is not one of them, and she doesn't do much in this movie, you know? She's just a victim of Josh Brolin, I guess.
Yeah, no, she is a victim. She's just there, present, nothing really.
Money.
Yeah, giving money, nothing really crazy. So, yeah, no, I mean, she kind of gets a happy story at the end, I guess. But she definitely, yeah, she definitely did not contribute too much. She was just serving as like, I need to know if this is real, yada yada yada, just kind of appearing there. And I think she was. They throw in these extra characters because they don't want you to just be able to hone in and figure out who the bad guy is going to be.
Yeah, true.
Even though, like, I feel like in one of my cons with a lot of whodunits is that, oh, it was everyone. I think that's, I won't say that because that's a
Mm.
spoiler for the Orient Express, but
I think you're fine to spoil Orient Express, but it's a
I
lot
think
of
it was
people.
everyone. Yeah, not Orient
Yeah.
Express. It was literally fucking everyone that was on that train was the murderer. And so I don't like when they do group murders like that. But in this case, like, I like, okay, this is, it was to team, but it just went kind of fucking sideways and greed kind of
Yes.
took over. And so with, again, that was only like, I'll say three people out of like
Yeah, it was
the
three.
9 or the 8 or however many people, but like her Kaylee being in there, like she didn't feel like she had a lot of weight behind her in being a possible contender for the murder suspect,
I
right?
only thought the money though, just because she was spending so much money. At one point in the movie, she says like, "I've given you all my money." So that's I thought,
Hmm.
oh, if that character finds out about this jewel or these $8 million, like that would be motivation to take this person out, right? And especially
Hmm.
too, they don't show her walk in the middle of the movie. She gets up and walk, and it's a comedic beat. But Glenn was like, "You can walk. It's a miracle." She's like, "No, I can still walk." But I thought that was them maybe tipping their hat, and that's why I said that I think could have been a good red herring because that could have shown, oh, maybe she's not letting on as much as she can, but no, it wasn't her. And that's where you were about to talk about the Josh Brolin mother thing. And they set up that there's a shadow of a, not a shadow, but there's a, what would it, a stain where a cross would have been? Is that what you
Hmm.
would call it? So
Hmm.
big wall, big cross, no longer there, just the stain of it. They tell
Yes.
this whole story about Josh Brolin's mother. Pretty much is just like a scarlet letter. She had a child out of wedlock. She's just like prostituting herself around the city. She's just kind of there. And the only reason she's at the church is her dad said, "Hey, if you stay close, you stay here with your kid. That's his grandson. You'll get the money or you'll get whatever I have." And obviously, they eventually reveal that the dad has nothing because he swallowed this diamond. I'll just say that. But and which I liked. I liked the idea they show at first that this woman just went nuts and she destroyed the church, but really she was just looking for the diamond. That's what tipped me off to Glenn Close is the flashback with the little girl and the fact that she was there for this vital stuff. And that moment where she whispered into her ear and they didn't let us like see what she said. And obviously she said something a lot worse, calling her like a whore or something. But the second they did that in the movie, I was like, okay, Glenn Close is at least a part of this. I did not know it was going to be three, and like I said, I thought it was Glenn Close and Kaylee Spaney. So I was completely wrong on the Spaney part, but I'm still happy with Knives Out. I still can usually suss up. Like I just feel like Ryan Johnson has little things he does in each movie that are very consistent with who the killer is. But yeah, what did you think about at least the setup of Brolin's family and this church and everything going on there? Because I quite enjoyed it. I liked the setup, and I did like the revelation of it later on.
Yeah, no, I think that was great. Again, it comes down to like, oh, your perspective and what you're seeing in the scene and whatnot, what they're, I guess, what they're allowing you to see and allowing you what to know at this point in the story. I like that a lot, and it fits with the girl being in the same mentality as the dad. Like the guy who started all by eating the diamond, which rough. That thing was huge. That would hurt like a mother trucker to swallow that thing. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think I do feel bad for the daughter because she definitely got the short end of the stick here, and it kind of screwed her over. I don't think she was really as bad as they were probably kind of putting her out to be. I think
Hmm.
that's just part of setting up the old lady as a character and the father priest guy as a character and all that. But yeah, it was really really good and zany when you get to see what happens after, because when she's screaming and acting all demonic and then she like jumps on top of the little girl and starts punching her, I'm thinking, holy fuck, like, this is crazy. But I like how it was logically explained afterwards.
Hmm. In the same sense, in reveals for parentage and whatnot, how do you feel about Josh Brolin and Psy being related? Because I think that was in there just for red herring, because I feel like it didn't really go much places. I thought if he was in on the mystery, helping him die, etc., sure, but I think that was just to throw a red herring that, oh, maybe his now illegitimate son that he hasn't known for 30 years could be a part of it. But I feel like after the fact now, I feel like it's kind of, all right. I don't know if it added much to the story.
Yeah, it didn't add much. It's just, just the sense that, okay, he wants money, and it's just kind of full circle, I guess, right? Just I don't know if it's supposed to echo what the daughter was like as a character, I guess, and how it's just, but I think it was just supposed to come back to just greed and just this evil diamond that everyone highly covets, I guess. But he was an interesting character, and I feel like that they added a lot of layers to him, where he was the illegitimate son of, well, I can't remember her name, but her father, and it was just kind of a sibling. But it turns out no, they're not even siblings. This guy just was in cahoots with Max. I think his name is Max, right? Monsignor Max.
For Josh Brolin's character?
Yeah.
I think so, but I'll get that confirmed there. It was no, it was not Max. It was Jefferson Wicks.
Wicks, that's what I meant. Yeah, it was a 3-letter name.
I don't see any Max on here, but
yeah, so that was just kind of it was nuts with him passing off his illegitimate son to this other guy, and I guess he didn't know. It would have been the woman that did that, and then they kind of rekindled and found out after the fact. But yeah, and so how did this work? So the son and Wicks were forming a plan to go and get the diamond. And then
no, he didn't even know about that at that point, because Wicks just wanted to...
Well, he didn't, but he was told, right? Because the old lady was supposed to have the confession, but said, like, oh, I had confession with the wrong priest, and so told Wicks, and Wicks was, I thought, gonna go and make a move to get it, and so she made a move first.
Yeah, which I'm happy, because at one point I thought they were trying to make it look like he did do this big elaborate faking of the death thing to get the diamond, especially at one point when they show him in the morgue and they flip the body over. It's very comedic, but they flip the body over and everything. To me, that was showing he is dead. So I was really hoping there was, because they were trying to, they showed some drug, and I was like, oh no, is that them trying to say like he just took the classic slow your heart rate down so people thought you were dead? So I was really happy they didn't go that route. It just sounded like at the end of the Easter Mass, he was just going to go and like get the diamond, like break down the thing and then leave with his son or help his son do whatever, right? So I don't think they had a full plan. I think it was just kind of the inklings of the start of a plan. So yeah, and that's where we're not gonna get in all the scenarios because there's a ton. They throw a lot out there. At one point, they're trying to make you think that Josh O'Connor is the killer because he's like, I gotta tell the police I killed him. This is where I felt they're kind of being too cheeky in the way where I feel like it's like, okay, you're kind of fucking with us, the viewers. They had O'Connor multiple times saying that he killed somebody, but then they later reveal that it's Samson that he thinks he killed, right? But they're making us think that he's... Because they have this moment where Mila Kunis, which is a great scene earlier on, where Daniel Craig talks about the Hollow Man, the book The Hollow Man, and he's like, oh, for the trap, there's something like a secret trap door. There's 3 ways where you can do it. And he lied, there's actually 4 ways. And she reads this, and they kind of reveal that, okay, and it's fake, obviously, but Josh O'Connor's the killer, and Daniel Craig is like, yeah, I figured that out before, which I thought was very, very risky of him. He does a few things, like later on, when Glenn Close is dying, and he's like, oh, I knew by the look of her lips. And Mila Kunis like, go check the van, we might have a med kit. I was like, man, imagine if they did find a med kit and Daniel Craig just let this fucking woman die. Like, I know she's going to prison, but just like, that's where there's a couple times where it's like he's playing like God. It's funny where it is like he's not a religious guy, but it feels like he's just like playing with these people's lives. And that's a moment also I didn't like too, where he's about to do his whole speech and he sits down and he pretends that he didn't figure out the mystery for Glenn Close to come forward and tell him, like, and do a confession like church. That to me felt way too much like, you don't know this person, you don't know this character. All you know is that she could have been murdering people. It's like, and you're gonna put faith. And I get it, that's what the movie's about. I just feel like it came off very cheesy, and very Batman God tier mode of just he knew that Glenn Close, even though got away with everything, was gonna come back and admit it all. It's like, what would happen if she didn't? She would have just died, and then they would have had to take Benoit Blanc's like word. So it felt to me too much of a stretch for them to do that. But that's what I was trying to get back to is, Josh O'Connor multiple times says, "Oh, I gotta admit that I killed him. I gotta turn myself into police." That was a super funny scene though, when Mila Kunis is pissed off at Daniel Craig that she's pretty much knows that he figured out that at this point that they think Josh O'Connor did it, and he's like, "You better, if you find him, you better let me know." He's like, "Oh yeah, of course. Like I wish I knew where he was." And Josh O'Connor walks into the police station, and no one sees Josh O'Connor. He's walking up, and Benoit Blanc like runs over, covers him, gets him in the car. So that was a funny scene. But then when they get in that car, he's like, "I gotta go to the police, and I gotta admit that I killed Samson." This whole time, they're trying to make us think that because Mila Kunis said, "Oh, he killed Josh Brolin," and then he's saying, "I killed somebody." They're kind of fool, like it's an unreliable narrator, but it's not a character that's crazy or lying. It's them kind of cutting things out, and to me, not in a clever way, in a way where it feels like, okay, that's kind of cheap. And the other thing I didn't like was, I get it. You could say maybe he was hallucinating, the adrenaline. At this point, they do this moment where I guess I'm kind of putting the whole mystery here, but Glenn Close reveals that, and again, this to me was a big stretch, but they used it as she's very religious and want to do a big faith thing to make people believe. So I can kind of believe that because people that are very religious can do something pretty crazy. That Josh Brolin is dead, but they're gonna have Thomas Hayden Church pose as Josh Brolin to make it look like he's alive again, like he's risen, right? So this happens, and the plan goes to shit. Also, you've seen the movie, you know. But they have this moment where Thomas Hayden Church, he punches Josh O'Connor, so that's why he thinks he killed him, because he wakes up, Samson's dead. But when Josh O'Connor is back in the woods and he's running around and it's like flashing, he's going through it, I guess you can say adrenaline. I guess you could say he's concussed. But they're flashing lights in the wood, and they're literally showing you Josh Brolin's face. There's no ifs, and or buts. It's not like because they do, which I applaud with this one. They Taylor might be dead. They have the groundskeeper. That's who Thomas Hayden Church plays, right? And there's one time earlier in the movie where he's in a rain jacket and he has the light, and it's fully covering his face. You can't see him, and then he takes off his hood. It's like, "Hey, what you doing?" And it's him, right? So multiple times throughout the movie, you see this person in a trench coat, and it's Jeremy Renner posing as him, but you see him and you can't see his face, so you know, okay, they're insinuating that's to Thomas Hayden Church, but it's likely someone else, right? But that's the thing where in this conflict at the end, when Josh O'Connor's there, they're showing you the groundskeeper, but you don't see his face. The entire time you don't, it's just the hood and darkness, right? So you go, okay, and to me, that works because it's us assuming, it's us putting our own thoughts, who could that be? Or you just even think it's still Thomas Hayden Church, right? Where when you show Josh Brolin's literal face in this, like, it's not a reveal, but near the end, that's kind of like unfair to the viewers, right? Because you have to kind of stretch and headcanon yourself as far as, okay, he has a concussion, he's going loopy. So I thought that was a little dangerous. Again, if you'll wonder why I'm not throwing a Taylor, his Wi-Fi has died, so that's why this is a solo review until he gets back. But I just thought it was kind of cheap to show him off like just like that. I would have loved if you would have had the light flashes and you see the silhouette of Josh Brolin, because they made him look like that. They gave him a beard, similar haircut, the silhouette of Josh Brolin, but then after the fact, it's Thomas Hayden Church. And I bet maybe if you slow it down, I bet you probably see some stuff where Hayden Church's face is kind of in there, but it felt kind of a little cheap to me. So that's where it didn't feel like the revelations. Like, well, of course, like the other movies, it feels like, oh, I couldn't get that because I've not seen the whole story. I've not put together. But if I could have thought about it, I could have got there, right? But the second you see Josh Brolin walking around, you go, okay, I guess he's back some now. Or he faked his death, which I didn't want either, right? So maybe on a second watch, some of that stuff will play better for me. But in the moment, during that, just didn't really work for me. So let me see. Taylor says he's just stuck. So, oh man, the poor Wi-Fi. I don't want